Hey everyone, Lauren here from Color the Kitty and Stampin' Up. Doing a crafting project in this video. It is the catch-up version for the Amazing Silhouettes class that I hosted for February 28th, and as well as February 10th was my other date as well. Okay, so materials that you should have. Of course, classic me. I seem to have potentially misplaced some papers now. Okay. Alright, well, what you should have is 2 black card bases, which can be folded in half. Okay. You should have 2 decorative flowery pieces or similar to this. And the other side will be something else, but we're going to do the more flowery side. And then you should have 2 of these and 2 of those. I'll explain in a moment. And then 2 normal white blank pieces. Okay. So what these are is these 2 pieces. One of the blank ones will be stamping as you choose whichever stamps you want to use. I included these as a backup so you can, as a guide on your own if you want to see the general idea of what we're doing here. Anyway, so we're going to be stamping these together. I'm using the Amazing Silhouette stamps, but you can use any stamps you wish, nature, theme, whichever. Nature, animal, have at it, have fun. Colors I would suggest is some sort of a brown. I got 2 browns apparently. A green, and then I had a yellow is what I had for mine. So the 2 pieces, if you can tell, there is one with score marks through it like a grid. We're going to be using the side where it's dented inward, not outward. Where it's scored in versus scored out. We want the scored in because it creates that line's texture when you stamp on it. And then as for this one, again, we're going to be using, this is embossed on the bottom, but we want to have it embossed inward versus outward because we'll be coloring in these shapes, which I think is really cool technique that we're doing here. And it's just occurred to me, I did not get my camera settings set. Oh, the beauty of trying to record a video. Let me fix that now. That way we don't have the autofocus being a pest here. Let's see. Give me a moment. Okay, that should be pretty clear. We should be able to see. Okay, we're just going to roll with it here. So first things first, we're going to start with this one. That is the grid, which now I can't see it. Where it's scored inward, okay? And then we'll come back to this one in a short. So I'm just going to leave the guide there, and we're going to do a bit of stamping. So the stamp I chose out of the 3 on this one is the leafy one. But any sort of stamps that you have would be sufficient to this project. So I've got my red cling stamp ready to go. And then I'm going to start with the brown because I feel like a brown mood right now. And then I purposely, not in this one, but in the version I did in the class on the 28th, I purposely did not clean the stamps in between, so it did create an interesting effect for its layout. So there's one. So now I'm just going to swap to the green and see how this is going to look, which could be interesting. But if you don't want a mix of colors, be sure to clean your stamps in between each color. Highly recommended when you're crafting. So, because that ended up being like a darker green. And I'm going to swap to the yellow and see how this looks. When I did this last night, the yellow turned out pretty neat, actually. Essentially, the idea with this is have fun stamping and playing around with the papers I gave you. That way you can create your own pattern. Doesn't have to be just like this. You can do whichever pattern you want to do, really. So that yellow, and it's the same yellow I used, but because I had to mix the colors, it really made it darker, which is really neat, I found. And I'm going to go back to the green. And get into the top there. And then there we go. There is one done. You can stamp a little more into some corners if you want. Like so. Either or, but there we go. That's more or less the going idea, which makes a really neat color effect. But you can see how the two of them are same but different, but really cool. Alright, I'm going to give this a quick wipe, and then we'll stamp the next one. Alright, so I've got that cleaned up nicer. And then the stamp I used for the next one is this nice butterfly one, but you can use whichever nature stamps you have. So let's bring this in for a sec. So as a reminder, using the side where this is embossed inward, okay, versus this side has a texture, we want the inward this time. That way you can see as a bit of my guide. And so I'm going to start with the green. And I would highly suggest is try to stay close to the top, because if you stamp somewhere further down the bottom with the embossed, it is not going to come out as pretty. That much I can say when it comes to stamping with embossing. But entirely up to you. Feel free to have fun. And if you really want to use the other side with the embossed outward, totally up to you. The whole idea is to play and enjoy, and that is my vision with this. So there we go. Because by having the green first and then add that yellow, it just creates a neat little effect. And there's my two butterflies. And I feel like I want a third one this time. So I'm just going to ink up part of this, or most of it. I'm just kind of free playing here, because I feel like I want a third one. Pop them in. Pop them in. There we go. Which is kind of neat because there's a leaf stuck in there. Just to kind of play around with it. I'm going to give that stamp a quick clean. Alrighty. So then next up, grab some colored pencils. What I chose for this, I'll show you in just a sec, is I essentially stuck with the original colors. I have a dark yellow, a brown, and a green is what I ended up choosing here. So first things first, if you notice with the picture, and also a really good sharpener for this step makes a huge difference here. So what I did was, there's embossed little circles, like little dots. I just went through with the brown and colored them in. I got a little bit of red in there. I just found by coloring inside of the emboss gave it some character, but entirely up to you and how you want to deal with it. There's so many ways you can do it your own way. Okay, so there's a quick round of the brown. So I'm just going to grab my sharpener, which you can see it's already giving it a bit of life. Give this a quick sharpen. Give my green a little bit of a sharpen too. 'Cause I want that leaf to... I could have left it blank, but I'm like, no, it's just me. I gotta color it in. Oh, I missed the brown. And then just, you know, color in the leaves however you want to color them. So there's one. I'm going to get the green again. Get the brown. The original one I ended up doing just green, but it just needed a little bit more pop of color to make it work. But as you can see right now, it's almost like a full card actually. By the time I realized this yesterday, it's like, wow, it's kind of neat. And I'm just gonna grab a brown. And I just kind of keep rotating. Trying my best to see the lines, but you know, sometimes it's easier said than done. These are just regular colored pencils that I had hanging around the art room. Yeah, nothing fancy. Stampin' Up! Does have great pencils that can almost match the colors, which is really cool and very useful. Yeah, the participants last night really enjoyed this card. And then we already talked about the next class, which we are going to do 3 projects, which I'm excited. And that one will be based on the Adorable Owls stamp set, which is really adorable and unfortunately no longer available, which is sad. But it was a really good stamp set. I got that. I want to bring some more yellow. Then brown. Where's my brown? Right there. So yeah, this stuff does take a bit of time, but I like it. Then the green. Looking back, I probably should have left that one. That's okay. Alright, and then yellow. And brown. And green. Then brown, and it'll be yellow for the last one. And I'm just fixing some of my coloring. Now I'm overthinking it. Oh, typical me. I have a song stuck in my head I have not heard since I was like a teenager. I have to listen to it later. And I find doing crafting being very therapeutic in my own ways. Alright, so I've got that colored. So there we go. So now let's bring in our components. So we've got the two pieces that we made. Now, the assembly is actually really, really easy. I went pretty simple this time. As you know, this was my intro to getting everyone to do actual stamping in this one, which I think is really fun. So take the two black card bases, fold them in half as normal. No fancy folds this time. Take a bone folder to help that fold along. So there's one. And then two. Alrighty. So then make sure your orientation, you can do portrait or landscape, but either way, make sure you're paying attention to your orientation, however you like it. So then, these will be glued onto the front using any sort of adhesive. Now I'm just turning it to have them pointing upward. I guess that's just my preference. So for example, that will be glued on. So let me grab my stamp and seal and get those on. And that way these can go on pretty center as best you can. That's one. And there's the other. Alrighty. And then these will be glued on top. And you can use dimensionals to step it up in the 3D effect, or you can just use regular glue. Entirely up to you and how you want to build it, but I'm going to go with the dimensionals idea. So I've got some here. So flip it over. I can grab some scissors because I'm using up the borders on this one. Cutting up some sections for me. So I put one in each corner, and I just put one in the middle just to kind of help the middle a little bit. And then I'm going to pull off the white caps and glue that on. And just flip it over. I'm just going to put it the way I want to put it. And there we go. The front on that one is done. Then we'll do the same on this one. So let me cut up some edges. Oh, I've still got one good one here. Put that in the center. So I just need 4. If you ever have these, don't just throw out the edges. They're still super, super useful. And there, and one more. And I hear the puppy. He's looking for mommy. Alright, and then flip her over. Make sure I've got my orientation correct. It is easy to muck it up, believe me. I then glue it on. Alright, and then there's our finished covers. Pretty versatile, can be used for any sort of occasions. And then I'm just going to open these up and put that white panel on the inside. That way I've got a spot to write some stuff. That way it's not in invisible marker or something because it's black cardstock. Although that could be a neat card. Yeah, that came up as a joke last night. It's like, I don't know how to make an invisible ink card yet, but I'll think about that. That could be fun. Alright, so I got the one. Just gonna glue that on the inside. And try to remember, if you prefer it on the right side, please check before you glue so. Someone last night, in the excitement of fun and crafting, kind of sort of put it on the left side. Which is okay. But, yeah, it happens. To be in that mode of fun and crafting and then just, oops-a-daisy. Alright. And then there we go. There is our completed projects. See, I found just doing some sort of color with the leaves on the bottom just really made it pop. And there's these, so I'll show all the other ones I've worked on in pertaining to this. This was another one from last night. This was, again, from last night. This was the original draft that I had. This was my original draft as well. Then I had these two as part of trying to figure out a concept, which are kind of my rejects, because this one's got the embossing too, which looks really nice. But these are my rejects. But otherwise, yeah. Here is a whole bunch of cards that I can use for gifting, which is a lot of fun. So there we go. I actually have another set I can make as well. So there we go. Just to kind of show what we made. And yeah, so everyone, thanks for watching the video. Feel free to ask me any questions about the projects. If you'd love for me to repeat this class again, I would love to do so. That's something I'm looking to get into. It's like, hey, if there's a class concept that really worked out. However, the papers will change slightly and the stamps depending on availability. However, I think this was just really fun by doing the textured embossing and then with the grid lines for the score marks just to kind of create a bit like a window effect. So there we go. This one, it really turned out well. Of course, this one accidentally stamped it wrong. That's okay. Anyway, thank you for watching. And any questions about my classes, please let me know. I run a class every month, so there's always lots of fun in the world of Color the Kitty. Thanks. Bye for now.